Okay, this is how you'll do some of your homework. Here's an example where you have what's called a quadratic, and you can factor just like if you have 2x squared minus x equals 3, and you get it equal to 0 in factor. You could do it with trigonometry words also. So I'm going to take this minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to set it equal to 0 and factor. And first of all, look for something in common, and there's not. So then I do the trial and error kind of factoring. I factor the front, and then I factor the back, and play around with it till I get the right thing in the middle. So 2 is 2 times 1. Cosine squared is cosine times cosine. Then 3, I've got to decide if I want 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. Play around with it, trial and error until you get it right. And I know this will be right because it gives me a 3 and a 2, which can give me a 1 in the middle. So my signs need to be minus plus. And if we multiply that out, we should get this right here. I can check it. 2 cosine squared x. That gives me plus 2 minus 3. Yeah, so that's right. Okay, now you set your factors equal to 0. And this one will give you cosine x. Add the 3, divide by 2. Cosine x is equal to negative 1. This one can't even work. That one can't be true. This could not be an adjacent over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse would have to be the biggest side. So this one will give you no solution. This one, cosine, you're looking for where cosine's negative 1, which is over here at pi. And I'm giving the answers from 0 to 2 pi. If it said find all real solutions, I would say pi plus 2 pi k, where k is any integer. All right, let's look at another one. I notice right away I have 2 different trig words, so I need to use an identity. And so for cosine squared, I'm putting in 1 minus sine squared. Distribute. And then I want to move my squared to the other side. So I'm going to move everything to this side. So I'm going to add 2 sine squared x. I'm going to add sine x. And I'm going to subtract this 2 right here, so I get this. All right, then I'm ready to factor. 2 sine squared x is 2 sine x times some 1 sine x. Factor the front, factor the backs are 1 and 1. And that's going to give me a 1 and a 2. My signs are positive and negative. Then I set my factors equal to 0. This one I'm going to add 1 and divide by 2. This one will give me sine x plus 1 equals 0. Sine x equals negative 1. Sine is 1/2 at pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. And sine is negative 1 down here at 3 pi over 2. Those are the solutions first time around from 0 to 2 pi. If it was all solutions, I could add 2 pi k. All right, here I notice I don't have like a number added. In fact, I'm looking through, and on these, they didn't have anything in common, like all the way across. These both have a cosine in them, so I'm going to factor out cosine x, and that leaves me a 2 cosine x plus 1. Set your factors equal to 0. And this gives me cosine x, subtract 1, and divide by 2. So my answers for cosine of x is equal to 0 are pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2. And cosine's negative 1/2 at 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. Another example. Okay, now I have a double angle and a single angle, and I can't do anything with it. By the way, this is not cosine squared x, this is cosine 2x. So I'm using one of my double angle identities. There's 3 of them for this. but I'm going to use the one with the word cosine in it. So I'm going to use my double angle identities and change this into 2 cosine squared x minus 1 plus cosine x equals 0. So then I'm going to go 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x minus 1. I'm going to rearrange it so I can factor. 2 cosine x times cosine x, factor the front, factor the back, figure out your signs. This will give me 2 cosine x equals negative 1/2. Sorry, it'll give me cosine x equals negative 1/2, which is 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. And this one's going to give me where cosine x is 1, which happens at 0. And I think that's it. So your homework will be posted online.